Hello, I'm Lorna Jackson. I'm a clinical and spiritual hypnotherapist, and I've been practicing for about 20 years. I'm making this video to share onto my YouTube channel, Lorna Jackson Hypnotherapist, and also to my TikTok channel where I put up a lot of videos. People have been asking me about my work and how I know about the afterlife, regression and so forth, and reincarnation. So I thought I'd put this video together to help people to understand, how do I know this? Well, it's because I've regressed thousands of people, clients, back to remember their past lives over the course of my career. I specialize in helping people to understand more about their soul's journey, and I use hypnosis to help them to access their past life memories. I've gathered a lot of sessions that I've facilitated over the years, and I've put those case studies in our book, Soul Regression Therapy, which is available on the internet, on Kindle, and also hard copy from most bookstores online, like Amazon. So what I've decided to do is to just read some information out of this book. So, people might want to buy it, but if they have an understanding of what's actually in this book, they might be more inclined to purchase it, because all the answers are in this book. I've written so much information in there. It's absolutely jam-packed with information about the soul, reincarnation, past lives, and so forth. And there's also 15 case studies in that book of sessions that I've done with clients that are really interesting. And I have actually put a couple of those sessions, case studies, on my YouTube channel already for people. So what I'd like to do is to begin to read out some of the information from my book. And the title of this is called Origins of Past Life and Spiritual Regression. Because where does it all come from? How did we come across memories of past lives with people? So the belief in past lives, reincarnation, and the afterlife is a very ancient concept. And although the current hypnotic regression methods of exploring this brief therapy are in historic terms very recent. Now, the theory of reincarnation was originally recorded in the Bible, in both the New and the Old Testaments. The Roman Emperor Constantine the Great and his mother Helena deleted some of these references to past lives and reincarnation. And then later, the proper interpretations were removed during a meeting of the Catholic Church in Constantinople, sometime around 553 AD. And this was called the Council of Nicaea. And it is believed by some that the council members voted to take those teachings from the Bible in order for the church to have control over the people. And because the church wanted to control the people, they told their followers that the Christian religion, priests, and the church were the only ones who had the answers, and through them was the only way to reach God. So this is an extremely dogmatic view, and most people today have no idea that reincarnation was originally a belief of Christianity. Or that reincarnation was effectively erased from the minds of the general public. Now, in the Western world, the concept of reincarnation was driven underground, living on only in the secret worlds of mystics, occultists, and spiritualists, until in the late 19th century, mysticism and spiritualism became the fashion. So one of the most influential people to change these views was Madame Blavatsky. Now, she established the Theosophical Society in New York in 1875. And Theosophy brought the influence influence of Eastern spiritual beliefs to the West and was responsible for introducing the idea of reincarnation to the Western world. Now, also at this time, popular awareness of the idea of reincarnation was boosted by magical societies, such as the Golden Dawn and the Rosicrucians. And a man named Allan Kardec, who released his inspirational book called The Book of the Spirits. And that was released in 1857. Now, he had a brush with past lives and wrote in his book how spirits spoke to him through mesmerized patients regarding reincarnation and karma. Now, as a therapy, past life regression has been developed since the early 50s by psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists, and mediums. And one of the first people to use regression as a therapy was a psychologist called Dr. Denise Kelsey. Now, Kelsey wrote a book, Many Lifetimes, and this book focuses on more on the therapeutic aspect of the technique of past life regression than on case studies. The book was co-authored by his wife, Joan Grant, who was a well-known psychic medium. And in the book, she explained how she remembered her own and other people's past lives. So there have been many pioneers in the field of past life regression, and one of the more well-known and leading advocates is Dr. Brian Weiss. And he's a graduate of Columbia University and Yale Medical School. And he was also a chairman of the Emeritus of Psychiatry at the Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami. Now, his research includes reincarnation, past life regression, and survival of the human soul after death. Now, Dr. Weiss is well known to the public for his first book, Many Lives, Many Masters. And that first book was released in 1988. Now, this book is about a patient he treated named Catherine, who began remembering her past life experiences while in hypnosis. And Dr. Weiss believes that many present life phobias and ailments are rooted in past life experiences. Now, Australian psychologist Peter Ramster developed an interest in reincarnation and has written books on this subject. And he also created a television documentary in 1983 called The Reincarnation Experiments. And this followed Peter Ramster's regressing his clients and then traveling across the world with them to find their past life locations. And he found amazing evidence that reconnected them to their past lives. Now, Dolores Cannon is another pioneer in the development of past lives and acceptance of the healing powers of remembering past lives. Now, she worked in this field for over 50 years and she wrote over 17 books on the subject before she passed away. So many of the past life regression pioneers expanded their belief systems by investigating what happens in the realm between lives. They came across this realm by accident when clients described a place where they would go between lifetimes. And this place was known as the spiritual plane, where souls go to plan to prepare for the next life or incarnation. And in this realm, the soul rests, healing from a difficult or traumatic life just lived, and then reconnecting with spirit friends and also meeting and learning from spiritual advisors. So this time between lives allows the soul to consider their karmic destiny and to make choices that will best fulfill that destiny. So the belief that all souls ascend to a spiritual place or realm between physical lives is well recorded in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So it's not a new concept at all. Probably the first pioneer and person to research and document modern hypnotic regression to the afterlife was Canadian psychiatrist Dr. Joel Witten. Now, he collaborated with author and journalist Joe Fisher, who also had a deep interest in spirituality and metaphysics. And together they wrote and published the first book on the subject of between-life regression, and that was in 1986. And it was titled Life Between Life: Scientific Exploration into the Void Separating One Incarnation from the Next. Now, this book contains many case studies from Dr. Witten's clients and their experiences while in hypnotic regression. And the book also discusses what occurs between lives, and Dr. Witten calls this state of existence between lives meta-consciousness. He describes this as a wondrous state that occurs after death, the threshold of consciousness experienced that separates one incarnation from another. Now, we found a copy of this book on the internet, and the strange thing was that when it arrived, we ordered the book, and when it arrived, to our surprise, it was signed by the late Joe Fisher. So we feel very honored to have his book that was signed. Now, another pioneer and author of this subject is Dr. Michael Newton, and he researched the afterlife through hypnotic regression with his clients for over 40 years. And he documented his findings in his first book, Journey of Souls, in 1996, and since published other books on this subject which have popularized Life Between Lives as a therapy. Now, he created a certification training program called Life Between Lives Hypnotherapy. And I was part of the first group of students to be trained in Life Between Lives Hypnotherapy in Sydney, Australia. And my husband John travelled down to be part of one of the Melbourne courses a few years later. And at that course, I was a training assistant. So Alan and Dee Chips are both master hypnotherapists and executive directors of the National Association of Transpersonal Hypnotherapists in the USA, and were also the co-creators of the original Life Between Lives certification program with Dr. Newton. Now, Alan Chips has written a number of books on this subject. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago, but Dee carried on the work for a while, teaching until she sold her college a few years ago. Now, Andy Tomlinson is another pioneer in the Between Lives movement, and he is a regression therapist from the UK. He's an international trainer and author, and he has written many books on the subject of past life regression and the afterlife. Now, I was fortunate to meet up with Andy and spend some time with him when he was here in Brisbane a few years ago. And he was teaching a series of spiritual workshops. So John and I enrolled in his 3-day entity releasement workshop. Now, being from England myself, I was really curious to know where he was born and where did he live in the UK. But I wasn't prepared for what he told me, because as it turned out, he was born in the very same town, Blackpool, where I'm born. And the synchronicities didn't stop there. He had lived very close to where I'd lived, and we both attended the same high school at the same time, although he was a year older and a year ahead of me. And our paths would have crossed at some stage for sure. So we could never have imagined back then, when we were teenagers, that we would both be a part of this amazing work that can help so many people. So there's also someone else who was a founder and pioneer, and that's Roger Woolger. And he created a process called deep memory process. And this combines active imagination, body work, and psychodrama with shamanic spirit journeying and integration between lifetimes derived from the Buddhist Bardo wisdom of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Now, deep memory process has been recognized as a major contribution to transpersonal psychotherapy. Now, Roger Woolger also passed away a few years ago, but his work lives on through his head trainer, Patricia Walsh. And John and myself both travelled to Melbourne a few years ago, where we took part in the intensive 5-day deep memory process course that was facilitated by Patricia Walsh. So I'm going to leave it there. I've gone through a lot of information now about what is past life regression and life between lives, and I've shared a little bit about the pioneers. I've been very fortunate to have met many of them and been trained by them. So I have a lot of experience. Like I said before, I've been practicing for nearly 20 years. So this is our book. And honestly, if you're interested in learning more, get yourself a copy, because this has so much information jam-packed in here. And I'm also sharing my journey, John sharing his journey, as to how we came about to be the therapists that we are today. We're also trainers, and we also have a course called Soul Regression Therapy, which used to be a 6-day live course, and we trained people in that course, past life regression and regression to the afterlife. We trained that course for nearly 8 to 9 years around Australia. And when the COVID, came, that the lockdowns the last few years, we stopped training and traveling. Unfortunately, we had to do that. But we put all our courses into online training courses. The videos that we recorded at the courses that we'd ran, we put them, John put them into online courses. We now have our own platform, which is the Hypnotherapy Learning Hub. So if you're interested in studying and learning more about past life regression and the afterlife and hypnosis, please go to our website. It's hypnotherapylearninghub.com, and you'll be interested, I'm sure, to have a look at those courses. So thanks for watching. Please, if you're watching this on TikTok, please jump over to my YouTube channel, where there's so many more videos on this subject and other spiritual subjects you might be interested in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button, and you'd really be helping us out to, share this work, this powerful work. I'm going to be sharing more about the benefits of past lives and how it all works in future videos. So thanks for watching.